What is the future of Facebook and Meta? Is it the Metaverse? Is it continuing to grow Facebook and Facebook ads? In this video, we're gonna dive in because this is a question I get a lot. What do I feel is the future of Facebook and where is it going? Let's jump in. Facebook was originally created to connect people, bringing people together from all over, people that maybe haven't seen each other in a long time. You get to see those updates and see what other people have been doing. And over time, if you look at the history of Facebook, they've lost sight of their original goal, of originally what they were created to do. And so what ended up happening, and before we can talk about the future of Facebook, what we really need to do is analyze the history of Facebook, what got us to this point, what got us to the switch to Meta, why people are unhappy with Facebook right now, why the stock has been going down right now. Where are we at right now based on the history, and then that will show us where we're going in the future. And so if you look at the original origins of Facebook, it was all built around connecting people together, right? It was bringing people together that maybe haven't seen each other in a long time, that are maybe classmates, maybe they're work friends, maybe they're people that are family members, distant relatives, people that you just happen to meet one day. And originally, Facebook did really well at this job, allowing you to have insights into what other people were doing as a social media network. That's why it grew by storm. Then soon enough, brands started to enter the picture, and there were Facebook pages, there were brands, and those pages were able to post updates on what they were doing. So these brands lived in harmony with people sharing their own posts, and they were added in. As people liked a page, they got to see updates, they could choose what they were seeing and not seeing. Soon enough, of course, Facebook introduced ads and advertising. Now, originally, these ads were powerful for the advertisers and also beneficial for users because it kept Facebook free for everybody, and it allowed those advertisers to get in front of people that were potentially interested in their products. But what ended up happening is Facebook made more and more decisions and choices around the user experience, around the advertiser experience and the companies that are on Facebook, and then also eventually around their overall privacy and their policies that really led to Facebook's downfall and, of course, their rebranding to Meta. Now, does that mean that Facebook has completely fallen from grace? Not necessarily, but the public sentiment from a consumer standpoint, from a privacy standpoint, from an advertiser and marketer standpoint, are all very much against Facebook, at least where we're at right now. And that doesn't bode well for where the future is going with Meta and the Metaverse, because what you really need to establish some type of new area, new Metaverse that Facebook is creating, is you need that trust to be built from the users and the people within the platform. So let's talk about those three big areas. First, we gotta talk about the user experience, how users experience Facebook. Maybe you've seen some of this for yourself. So at one point within Facebook, they have made the determination that they want to prioritize retention and usage of Facebook at the expense of client experience. So client experience goes down while consumption goes up. Now, I don't necessarily think this is a bunch of people sitting in a dark room saying, ha ha ha, we're going to reduce the user experience and increase our retention and watch time. It's more so that actually the algorithm that Facebook has created and the platform for Facebook was told what they want the end result to be. So what does Facebook, what does Mark Zuckerberg, what do the shareholders, what do the different people think they want the end result to be? What they think they want the end result to be is more advertising sales. How do you get more advertising sales? More usage and retention on the platform, more people spending more time on Facebook. And so most likely what they did is they made a finite-minded decision to prioritize the ability for people to spend time on the platform, right? So spending more time on the platform at the expense of the experience because they know today this will sell more ads. But what they did not account for is the long-term ramifications of that. Now, a great book on this is The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek, one of my favorite books. I actually talk about it in my video on my top 7 books that helped me become a millionaire. You can click the link right here in the cards to watch that video. What it talks about is the difference between finite and infinite-minded thinking. And a finite version of thinking is gonna say, hey, we want more money from ads, so we want more people to spend more time on the platform so we can get more ads and we're gonna make more money. But that's not thinking with an infinite mindset, because what happens when you prioritize only the monetary side, only the amount of time people spend on the platform? Well, the user experience degrades over time and it opens Facebook up for disruption, right? It doesn't just have to be another social media network. It could also just be where people choose to spend their time and how people feel. Spending time on TikTok or YouTube. I can tell you that, and I don't think it's just the people I follow, because I follow a lot of similar people on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, right? But I feel good going on YouTube, going on TikTok. I usually feel in a worse state going on Facebook than had I not gone on Facebook at all. And I think that part of that is the algorithm. And a lot of people that I talk to, and you might have a different experience, let me know in the comments below, a lot of people I talk to have the exact same experience, right? The way that you're experiencing these platforms. So how did Facebook prioritize the overall retention over that client experience? Well, what they're doing is they're putting in all of these features that get you to stay on the platform. So first of all, they actually choose the different things to show you on Facebook based on what they believe is going to get a reaction and get you to stay on the platform longer. Now, that could actually be things that are controversial, things that are designed to stir up your opinion, right? Posts that have heavy engagement, which usually, kind of create a tug of war. No longer are you just on the Facebook feed and you're seeing all the latest posts of the friends that you care about. Now you're being bombarded with all of these different messages and different things. Now, if you actually want to see a video on what I recommend doing other than scrolling on Facebook, I actually have a video coming out very soon, so make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications. You are not gonna wanna miss this video because I'm gonna show you the top 5 apps you can use instead of Facebook, right, to actually start learning in your free time as opposed to getting in that negative state. So I'd stay tuned for that video. That being said, the client experience, what's been happening is that's been degrading over time while the retention has been going up by inflaming people, getting them excited or getting them upset, getting them to take action, getting them to read that one more post for that dopamine hit. But the other thing that Facebook's done is just general weird things to increase retention. Here's a really crazy example to talk about how they've deprioritized the user experience but increased retention. And this might be a little bit of a conspiracy theory, but I almost guarantee that it's true. So have you ever noticed Facebook notifications, how they seem to be all over the place? You click the notifications tab and so-and-so commented on a video, so-and-so liked this, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did that. It's all unorganized, jumbled up, and if you actually care what people have done on your page, you have to scroll through all those notifications because one of them could be an important comment from somebody, could be an important message, could be somebody tagging you on a post, but it's not easy to find that, so you have to read all of your notifications. It didn't used to be that way. If you've been using Facebook for several years or more, you probably remember when notifications were nice and organized. You could see all the people that liked something, all the people that commented, all the people that tagged you on a post. It was very easy, and you could look at comments like that in a snap, right? You could look at all of the things you cared about. At some point along the way, it changed. Now, why would Facebook change their notifications to make it worse? Make the user experience worse, make everything not organized? Why would they do that? Well, I'll tell you why they would do that. They would do that not as an actual intent, not as somebody deciding to do it, but because they actually let the algorithms run Facebook and they said, we want to increase user retention. Somewhere along the way, the algorithm tested a notification box that's disorganized all over the place so that users have to scroll through and read every notification. They said, wait a second, this is keeping people on Facebook, let's say 3 minutes longer. I'm just making those numbers up, but let's say 3 minutes longer. All right, now notifications from now on are not organized. And that's how changes like this take place. Changes that degrade the user experience. However, they increase the retention time on Facebook for a short-term gain on Facebook, but a long-term detriment, right? Because again, it's finite-minded thinking, not infinite thinking. And so, that may or may not be a conspiracy. I really believe it's true. If you have other opinions, let me know in the comments. I'd love to read them. But I saw it happen. I get a lot of these interactions. And just clicking on that notification for 100+ interactions, it used to be very easy to see all of the comments, see all the people that tagged me. Now you have to scroll through and see all of these different posts jumbled up together. And so that's just an example of one of the things that Facebook has done to cause those challenges and problems. So that's just the user experience. So now there's this tinderbox of a user experience that isn't the best, maybe short-term benefit for Facebook because they increase watch time, but by degrading the user experience, they're setting themselves up to be ripe for disruption, which is what's happening. Users are starting to adopt TikTok. They're starting to, go over. Now, Facebook also owns Instagram, so people originally were navigating to Instagram, but now they're bouncing over to other platforms. Now, of course, YouTube is a different platform in its entirety. It's less social focused. It is more education, content focused, so I'm not throwing that as much in there. But people are starting to go from Facebook to other platforms, and it also sets them up to potentially be disrupted by another social media network if one comes out of the woodwork. Now, the second area is with advertisers. This is something I know all too well because I've been in marketing and advertising for over a decade, mostly focused here on YouTube with YouTube ads. So I have a whole business, 8-figure company that helps businesses use YouTube ads, get consistent leads and sales. That's how we got our Inc. 5000 award, number 87 on the Inc. 5000, and that's the main business that I have. That's why I'm here in this office. That's the company that we have. We have about 50 team members, and we help our clients leverage YouTube ads. We've got thousands of different clients, done hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for our clients. But the big thing that we've found is most clients come actually upset with Facebook. Facebook shut them down. Facebook results are getting more and more expensive. Even when they have good campaigns, they become impossible to scale. Advertisers are coming to us and saying, get me off Facebook, get me on YouTube. And that's been a lot of our success, is I saw this coming for years and years. You can go back on this channel, you can look at the things that I've said in the past. I have seen the shift from Facebook ads to YouTube ads coming for years and years now. I've been talking about it publicly for at least 5 or 6 years, but I've been seeing it even longer than that. We saw the shifts that were happening and Facebook not prioritizing advertiser success. People get shut down in an instant and not told why they're violating policies, right? And then all the hard work that they did for those accounts, they run into problems there. But then even when they have good campaigns and good ads, right, they're getting more expensive over time as lead costs go up and up, results go down. And then in addition to that, one of the other challenges that's being faced as well is even having good campaigns, scalability doesn't work as well because it's very reliant on the Facebook algorithm. The algorithm is more of a black box. Yes, you're giving it guidance based on who you want to reach, but you can't say when you want to reach them. And it seems like this algorithm's gotten worse and worse, and instead of it actually determining what's going to be the best for your business, it seems to determine what's going to get you to continue to spend. So on the advertiser side, advertisers are literally lining up to dump Facebook and go to YouTube, go to greener pastures, go to bluer oceans. And that's one of the big things that we've seen, especially after some of the recent iOS updates that have really harmed Facebook's ability to advertise. We're gonna talk about that in this next section, but I also talk about that extensively in other videos on YouTube versus Facebook, and also some of those iOS 14, 15 updates that cause a lot of challenges for Facebook specifically, because it's less intent focused. Now, as these advertisers leave, they're going into YouTube. By the way, if you want some resources, free resources on how you can leverage the power of YouTube video ads, maybe you are using Facebook right now and you want to get more leads, get more sales, I'll post a link down below to my entire 19-page PDF that shows you step-by-step exactly how you can use YouTube ads, get consistent leads and sales. We call it our $200 million PDF. Outlines our entire process. We'll post a link right down there in the description. We also got a webinar that shows you our YouTube ad strategies and the ability to book a call with our team if you're interested. So that's the Facebook ad side. On the other side, we also have the privacy, the issues, the policy, really the big thing that harmed Facebook's name. The Cambridge Analytica scandal was massive, right? Whether or not that actually provided or changed the outcome of an election is almost irrelevant to the damage that it did to Facebook's brand, right? The Facebook brand with Cambridge Analytica faced a massive, massive hit because people then associated Facebook not just with scandals around election issues and all of that, but it also faced massive issues when it comes to privacy, because it was exposed. This is the bigger thing. People think it's more on the political side. It's actually more on the side of the privacy. It exposed that Facebook was willing to share and sell user data. Now, I go to a lot of masterminds and events, and it's kind of funny. I see some people there that talk about buying some of this data, that talk about this. There's some political operatives talking about buying this data and doing this data from Facebook, from Cambridge Analytica, from these companies that work closely with Facebook because their privacy policies aren't dialed into the way that they should be. Now, there are misconceptions. It's not Facebook going out and signing checks directly for this data, handing over the user data. It's more that the policies that they put in place with the applications that they had, especially in the past, again, they have clamped down on some of this, just had very loose privacy policies that allow these applications to effectively scrape user data. So some people have a misunderstanding of this. This isn't Facebook doing backroom deals and like checks and stuff, because that wouldn't make sense for their long-term business. That's not exactly what they're doing. But they had very weak privacy policies and they knew it, and that favored those bigger advertisers that they had that were scraping data and pulling it directly from Facebook. And that's one of the big challenges that it faced. And this also lined it up for congressional scrutiny, where you almost seemingly have both sides of the aisle upset at Facebook for different reasons, right? Which is kind of a feat, right? Upsetting basically everybody and unifying them against you. And that, I think, is the overall theme that I have here, is not just in that area, on the privacy side, you actually see people unifying against Facebook from multiple areas, and we'll talk about that in a second. But on the Facebook side, you even have Apple coming out, and they're winning corporate points by saying, hey, we're going to war with Facebook, and we're protecting your privacy and your data. Now, again, everything that they did, I talk about it more in depth in my video where I talk about the iOS updates, what that means for advertisers. You can watch that separately. But basically what Apple did is they actually reduced the ability for Facebook and other advertisers within the ecosystem, really any application, to track user data without consent and share that data with third parties. And so that greatly limited Facebook's main ability to share all of this data, and then also harmed their ability for advertisers, made them more and more desperate, so then they're worsening the user experience, and it creates this domino and cascade effect that people are seeing. So to kind of look at this from a holistic picture, there's three main areas. There's the user experience, there's the advertiser results and experience, and then there's also the privacy policies, congressional, overall brand and image of Facebook. All of these have taken a massive hit to the point that Facebook said, we gotta rebrand and we gotta completely rename ourselves to Meta. And that is what they did. They renamed themselves to Meta and they said the future is the metaverse. But here's the question. Do you believe that a company that operates this way is actually going to have enough trust to be adopted as the main metaverse? Do you believe that this company, even if they gain traction early on, is actually going to be able to sustain that within a metaverse? Right? What I would honestly say is Facebook is a great example of finite thinking. They're thinking for right now, not the long term. And even the name change, even some of these aggressive pivots, even though they disguise themselves as thinking of the future, it's still seemingly thinking about right now and the next steps ahead. Because the metaverse in general, decentralization, the blockchain, it's built around decentralization, right? Not having a central authority control the entire metaverse, control the entire ecosystem. What Facebook's trying to do is say, hey, we want to control this ecosystem. But what examples have they given us in the past? They've given us poor user experience, poor advertiser and business experience, and poor privacy policies. And what I would argue is those challenges are what makes it difficult for Facebook to be able to be a serious entrant in the metaverse and meta area. So overall, this is my opinion of where Facebook ads, Facebook, the metaverse, Meta, where they are right now. But let me know what your opinion is down in the comment section below. Now, I referenced a few videos. I'm gonna include them in cards above, and some of them are coming up very soon. You are not gonna wanna miss these new videos, specifically a video on what to do. Let's say you spend time on Facebook, right? What to do instead of spending time on Facebook, or instead of just mindlessly scrolling, what apps should you use instead? How can you learn and grow with your time you spend on your phone? I've got a great video on that, so make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications, don't miss that video, like the video, share it with a friend, let me know what you feel, your comments down below. Hey, if you disagree with me, I wanna know down below. If you agree with me, if you have other things to add, let me know in the comments. I'll be sure to read them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.